Hello and good morning. We're getting ready for your test on Friday. This one says put in slope-intercept form. Well, the first thing you have to do is identify where the points are. Now these 2 points are not really in the box. You see they're in the box but not on the edge of the box. So you want to find some points that hit right on the edge of the box, like this one. Okay? And what other ones hit right in the square smack of the box? I'm going to say this one. Okay? These points are in the middle, so it's going to be hard to find the slope there. Make sure your scale is 1, 2, 3 rather than 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. So let's see where we are. I'm going to say this is -4 and 5. Now if these points are wrong, number 1, then you're not going to be able to do it. Over 1, down 2, and we're going to do the slope. So put your bubbles. Okay, so this one's kind of tricky because you can't really know where these points are. It has to hit square on the edge of the box. And from the looks of it, it looks like those 2 that I picked hit square. Anyway, let's put the y's at the top. So -2 here and 5 here, 1 and -4. So that's going to give me a -7. That's a plus over 5. Okay, again, if my points are wrong, then everything from here on out is going to be wrong. Now, we're going to use the first point, but you could use either one. I'm going to use this one. So it's going to be y minus my y equals my slope, and then x minus my x. So this becomes y minus 5 equals a -7 over 5x. This is a plus. A negative times a positive is a negative. Use the trick. Put a 1 there. So that becomes 28 over 5. Now what I want to do is add 5 over 1 to both sides. Okay? So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and finish this thing up. So, we're going to find the least common denominator and see what happens. Okay. So before I go any further, what I was checking here is this. If you look at the answer in the back, the slope is -1.4. Okay, and that 1.4 is important because that's going to tell us if this is right. So what you do is you take 7, divide it by 5, and press equals, and it is 1.4. So we know we're on the right track. Okay. Anyway, so you're going to get -7 over 5x. Here you're going to put the 1. Here you're going to put the 5. And so you're going to get -28 plus 25 all over 5. Well, 25, 28, that's going to be a -3 over 5. Okay? And that is 0.6. So if you use your calculator, you'll get 0.6. And that's how you do that one. Okay? So that one, you don't want to use the points they gave you. You want to use the other points. Okay? All right, let's go to number 2. If we look at number 2 here, you have to pick out the points. But on this one, they gave us good points. You see how it hits square in the box? So that's over 2 up 4 for this one. And this one is -2, -2. And so you're going to put your y's at the top. So it's going to be 4 and a -2, and then 2 and a -2. So that becomes a plus, so that's 6. That becomes a plus, that's 4. That's going to be 3 over 2, or 1.5, okay? So it's going to be y minus, now you pick either point, I'm going to go with this one, equals my slope, so that reduces to 3 over 2, divide by 2, and you get 3 over 2 as your slope. I think we had one like this, and then x minus my x, which is 2. And then what you want to do is distribute, and then go from there. So it's going to be +4 on both sides. So y equals 3 over 2x, and put a 1 under here, use your trick, so that becomes a -6 over 2 plus 4 over 1. You want to put a 1 here, put a 2 here, and that's going to be a negative 6 and plus 8 over 2. So that's going to be y equals 3 over 2x. This becomes 2 over 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. So 2 over 2 equals 1. So that's going to be a plus 1. And that's what they should have in the answer. Okay? So today, if you're at home, I want you to redo these. Okay? I'm going to put the worksheet online for you on Canvas as well. And then I want you to work all of these. This is exactly how your test is going to look on Friday. Okay? We could technically take the test tomorrow, but I'm going to wait till Friday. All right, there it is. Now, if you missed the test on Friday, make sure that you get with me so I set up a new test for you sometime next week. All right, now look up here. What I'll do is I'll leave the test open till Saturday. So if you can't make Friday, maybe you can take it on Saturday. Look up here. Right away, here's the bell work. If you missed Chapter 4 test yesterday, see me and I'll set up a test for you this Saturday only. If you miss this Saturday, you're going to have to sit with a 0 until week 9 when I retest you. Well, look here. This is color the box. Remember, the ones next to the box go together. So it's going to be x squared plus 4 squared equals 8 squared. So that's going to be x squared plus 16 equals 64. I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides and then take the square root. So it's going to be the square root of something. So I'm going to get my calculator. Get your calculators out. So 64 minus 16 equals, and then shift, and then square root. So I get 6.9 is the answer. Okay, make sure you can do Pythagorean's theorem. Whenever you see a right triangle, you need to be suspicious or know that it is Pythagorean's theorem. This one is extract. 2 doesn't work, so 3 does. 3 times 25. 25 is 5 times 5. This is called a perfect square. So 5 times 5 is 25. So 3 times 25 is 75. The square root of 25 is 5. So your final answer is going to be 5 square root of 3. Make sure you know how to do that. The honors kids know how to do it, and I want you guys to know how to do it as well. Okay, put away your bell work. Copy everything you see here. If you can't read something, hold on and I'll read it for you. Okay, so skip it. Don't ask me what it is until I read it. All right, this is a new chapter, 5.1, 11:11. The angle bisector theorem says, this is a conditional, if you have an angle bisector, then the distance to the sides are equal. Well, let's take a look at that. First of all, put number 1, and we're going to go over this one right now. So number 1, right here, and put an angle. We'll make an acute angle because it's smaller than 90, and that's good. And we want to bisect it. Bisect means half. Make sure you know that. So we want to cut this angle in half. So I'm going to say it's about right here. Now, if I used a protractor, I would know for sure. So there's my angle bisector. The distance to the sides are equal. So any point on here, if I pick that point, the distance is the same as that distance. The distances are equal. If I pick that point, this distance is equal to that distance. Now, I didn't say these are equal, but these are equal, okay? So make sure you know that. The distance on any point, and distance has to be 90 degrees. If it's not 90 degrees, then it's not distance, okay? All right, that's the angle bisector theorem, okay? The other one we need to know is the perpendicular bisector theorem. It says, if you have a perpendicular bisector, then all the points on the bisector are the same distance to the endpoint. So draw a segment. Just make a segment, okay? And what we want to do here is do perpendicular bisector. Remember, bisector is half, so we want to find the midpoint, and we want to go 90 degrees. That's what perpendicular means, okay? So any point on here, this point, the distance from here to here is equal. That makes it an isosceles triangle. This point, this distance is equal to that distance, okay? And So what you have here is something similar to, say, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. All those cables, any point on the perpendicular bisector are equal, okay? And it makes it an isosceles triangle. All right, let's take a look at some problems here. Oh, and by the way, the converses are true. All right, so if I switch this up, if the distance to the sides are congruent, then it is an angle bisector. Okay? And the converse on this one. If all points on the bisector are the same distance to the endpoints, then you have a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so the converse is true as well, which means you can write a biconditional. Do you remember what a biconditional is? It uses if and only if. IFF. IFF. So if this conditional is true and the converse is true, then you can write something called a biconditional. Memorize that, okay? All right, now look up here. What do I have here? I have these two sides equal. I have a perpendicular, so it must be a bisector, which means this must be equal to this. So what you're going to do is 5x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 7. And by the way, if these were not equal, you'd have a perpendicular, but it may not be a bisector, which means these might not be equal. So be careful. You got to have two things. You got to have these sides equal, and it's got to be perpendicular. Okay, now at this point, you want to get rid of the smaller one. You see, you can't add these two because they're on opposite sides. So I would subtract 2x. Make sure you can do the math here, the arithmetic, or the algebra, okay? So I want to add 2, so I get 3x is equal to 9. I divide by 3, and I get x equals 3. Now once I get 3, I plug it in. Doesn't matter which one you plug it in. I like this one. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 plus 7 is 13. So each one of these is 13. 13 inches, 13 feet. Make sure you understand that one. Okay, remember you need two things here. You need these distances to be equal, and it's got to be perpendicular in order for it to be a bisector. Look at this one here. Now draw this diagram. All right, look at what's going on. They want to know this one. But what you got to do first is look at this. You have a perpendicular. You have the sides equal right here. So that makes this one equal to this one. So this whole distance is 14 as well. It's a bisector. Now if you take the little triangle, you have a perpendicular, and this one is equal to this one, so that makes these two equal. So each of these has to be 7, because 7 plus 7 will give you 14. So your answer is 7. All right, so don't get all tricked up on it. Just try to figure it out. All right, last one. Copy this one down. All right, now look here. What we need to know, we have them perpendicular, all right, from the same point. So that means these are equal. Okay, those are equal. So let's figure out. HI is 7, and IJ is 7. Both of those are 7. The measure of angle HGI, so put your pencil here, HGI is this angle. Make sure you know how to say that angle. So that angle is 25 degrees. So this one, look, IGJ. IGJ is this one. That's the one they want. And that one also has to be 25 degrees because these distances are equal, and therefore it makes it an angle bisector. Okay, that's the converse. If the distances are equal, then it's an angle bisector. If it's an angle bisector, then the distances are equal. Today's work is right here. If you get stuck, ask for help. And there may be a few that maybe you can't do, but try. Make sure you draw the diagrams. And good luck. I'll see you in class.